Hello everybody, my name is Mathis and welcome back to some more of The Long Dark. It's been about a week since last I played. Because I went on a trip and all the other stuff, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But, what was, oh right. I need to melt some water, I think is where I left off, but it's been about a week and I apologize. I wanted to get some of these videos up of The Long Dark while I was away. I did talk about it in my update video, but basically it was just poor planning on my part that disallowed me from doing that. Where the... What? Oh, that's my torch. It was basically poor planning on my part that disallowed me from doing that. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them done or properly backlogged in time. But I'm back, and I know you guys are excited to see more. I'm excited to play more. We're just going to pop that. Ooh, we can just do that right over the edge. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and store or put away some food. We will be... We have a little bit of water, but not much. We will be getting ready to move and leave soon. But I don't remember if there's anything else I wanted to do in this area. And I apologize for that. I'm sure there was something else I wanted to do. I just don't remember what it is. But we're going to go ahead and pop this. And then the next day in game, we're going to end up smelting some snow. And kind of getting our feet back under us again after a little bit of time spent away from the game. Which, you know, is what it is. But not much I can really do about it. It is how it goes. So we can get the moon up first real quick. Just to kind of make sure time is of the essence and we're using our time wisely. Hope everybody had a good few days. If you are only here for The Long Dark, well, I hope you ended up coming by and swinging around and checking out some of the other stuff. If you like The Long Dark, I did do some other survival-esque games while I was gone, including Slime Rancher. Not that Slime Rancher is a survival game, but it has similar elements with management and all that other stuff. So I hope you were able to swing over and come check that out. Okay, we only have... Oh, God. Sounds like bad weather. That's not great. It's not a big deal, but it's not great. But if you are... If Long Dark is your favorite series, well, then here we are, baby girl. It was fun. I went off and... I flew out for a few days to kind of disconnect for a little bit. I still did some work stuff, but for the most part, it was, you know, a trip in where I just really tried not to worry about work too much. All the time that I've been doing this job, you know, even when I'm traveling, I'm very much thinking about work, and especially if I'm you know, conventions, I'm doing work and all that other stuff. So to take a trip that was not particularly work related and to kind of just enjoy time away and disconnect was interesting for me because I don't really think I've done that since I've been doing this job, and B, really nice, especially the first couple of days, just decompressing and not stressing out about what I'm gonna do for videos today and script writing and all that stuff. Not that I didn't think about it, because I did, like, it's just impossible for me not to think about it, but a lot less so than normal, and it was really nice to do that. We want to boil some water, so let's go ahead and grab all this, because we're going to be boiling this. Do we have any books that I don't need? Alright, we're going to try to get this going. But it was fun. I also got to see a few movies while I was out. I actually saw the brand new Spider-Man, and I'm going to put this out there right now. I am not one that gets, like, superhero movie fatigue. I really love the superhero movie genre still. I don't think they're all fantastic. There's some, but for the most part, at least with the MCU is concerned, you're really hard-pressed to find a terrible Marvel movie. A lot of them play it safe, and there's a complaint that can be leveraged against most of them, which I think you've heard probably 1,000 times, that the Marvel villains in the Marvel movies have been god-awful. They're bad guys for being bad guys' sake, and that's kind of the problem. We're gonna throw that in there for now, just that torch. But Spider-Man Homecoming, really, like, Spider-Man has been my favorite superhero since I was a little boy. It just really my favorite superhero ever, and I was really excited and hoping that the movie was gonna be good, and the last good superheroes or Spider-Man movie I would say was Spider-Man 1 and 2, from the Raimi trilogy. Spider-Man 3 from that trilogy was fucking horrendous. The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield was pretty freaking bad. A lot of the things I like to say about that whole series is that I think Tobey Maguire made an excellent Peter Parker and an okay Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield made a really good Spider-Man, but a terrible Peter Parker. It's really nice to have the Spider-Man in Marvel's hands again. Granted, it's still also kind of in Sony's hands, but this is the first movie that absolutely 1,000...
Nothing to drink.
Okay, chill out there, my friend. 1,000% nailed both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, the character. Not only that, but the villain was excellent. He wasn't just a villain for villain's sake. There was layers to him, and like you understood why he was doing what he was doing. And yeah, he's a bad guy. He was clearly not a good guy, but at the same time, you can't help but feel for him and understand what he's going through. I'm not here for Mathis's movie reviews. All I'm saying is if you like the Spider-Man character and you've been waiting for a very good Spider-Man movie, this is it, man. Go see this movie. Support it. Give it your love. It deserves it. It is such a good Spider-Man movie. Now, I got to see another movie that I'd never seen before. It's an older movie, 1993, from what I remember. And it's Tombstone, which is a Western. Now, I grew up watching a lot of Western movies because my dad was a huge fan of Westerns, watched a lot of them. But Tombstone, from the people who were showing it to me, were basically saying, like, this is the best Western that exists, period. So that's a lot of high praise, first of all. That's quite a lot of high praise. So I explained it with high hopes. Because I liked it. I definitely want to say, hey, before anybody jumps down my throat, I like Tombstone. I think it was a very good movie. I think it was a lot of fun. But with me, not with just Tombstone, but just Westerns in general, I have a really hard time saying I love any Western movie. And after Tombstone was done, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty good movie. I wanted to think, like, why? Why do I not enjoy Western movies as much as some people seem to, including some of my family, like my dad? And it's weird because, people, the genre was so big for so long until it eventually disappeared. And Tombstone kind of, I think, perfectly encapsulated why I don't adore Westerns. They try and tell, like, a very serious story, which is great, but it comes across super duper hokey in a lot of ways. The acting is usually really good. Val Kilmer in that movie was fucking phenomenal. Probably the best part of the movie. I don't think anybody would argue that that's the case. I'm gonna bring these outside just in case they rot. But the story was kind of your typical, like, good guys versus bad guys, whatever. I guess that part doesn't bother me too much. Some of the dialogue was weird, and I don't know if it was because of the time period it was supposed to take place in, or if just some of the dialogue was delivered awkwardly. There was a love story in there that really didn't add anything to the movie. It felt rushed, really, really rushed and forced, and there was just no depth to it. But the hardest part for me of enjoying any Western, and this is what I was trying to get at initially, is that we're gonna try and cook up some meat here while we have a fire going down there. We might as well. Is that all these main characters are supposed to be amazing badasses based on, true to life characters that existed at some point. But they're supposed to be badasses that don't take the shit from no one, and they are the law, and you can't get past them, and they're six-shooters. And so when they get to the action, and it's supposed to showcase how awesome they are, the action is fucking silly. And it's a problem with all Westerns. And again, Tombstone's not super freaking old. It's from 1993. And even some of the newer Westerns that are even later are suffer the same fate, where the action scenes are almost as hokey as some of the dialogue. Like, it's supposed to be this really cool, like, I'm gonna kick your ass, but then when they shoot their guns, like, it's just like bang, and then smoke comes out, and then the guys who they shoot sometimes have delayed reactions. There's no, like, visual there. They just kind of go flying back and stumbling back and have these over-dramatic, silly deaths that just kind of make me laugh a little bit. And it just doesn't really come across as these badass scenes. And then, like, multiple times in Tombstone, there's like montages of them just killing bad guys, and they're just like, I think it takes place over the course of like a couple days, and within like 30-second montage or a minute montage, and riding horses and doing these really silly trick shots where he's like riding on the side of a horse, and the bad guy looks over with this like stupid looking face, like, why isn't there a man riding that horse? Oh, it's because he's, you know, leaning over the side. It just looks, and then he shoots him, and then he's like, he gets all surprised, and he dies, and he falls off his horse. At one point, the dude rides his horse through a window to kill some bad guys, and I'm like, come on, man, that's just fucking impractical. Like, you're really gonna do that? You can give this guy a warning of you running and riding through a fucking window and crashing through a window with your horse? Your horse is really gonna do that? Another point is, like, the guy, like, walks into a lake to firefight against the bad guys, and he's like, you know, he leaves his other friends behind to walk into this lake and shoot at all the bad guys, and all his friends are like, don't do it, you know, Wyatt, and he's like, I have to, blah, 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 and he walks into this freaking, he walks into, like, this little river or whatever, this little marshland, and he just shoots everybody, and everybody's missing him like crazy, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And again, like, when they shoot all their pistols, like, all the white smoke puffs out, and then they cut to the bad guy, and he, like, takes a good 1 or 2 seconds before he reacts to the bullet hitting him, and then he's like, oh, you got me, bad man, and, or sorry, I'm a bad man, you got me. Sorry, I bonked my pop filter there, in case it made noise. I guess it lessens the impact. It doesn't feel real. I'd love to see a Western movie now, but, like, way less PG-13, and give me like a solid R Western, because Tombstone is obviously based on a true story, and there's a lot of true characters or real characters that once existed in there. And there's like a really good story there, and that's why I said, like, the acting is really good. Val Kilmer was incredible in his role as Doc Holliday. Really loved that particular character. But it all was like, all the good parts were kind of balanced out with like hokey parts, and I know Tombstone is considered a classic, and maybe my taste in movies is like horrendously questionable. But there was just parts in that movie that just like completely dragged the movie down with its weird cheesiness, I guess. And maybe that's, you know, the point. It's supposed to be very, very cheesy. But for me, didn't really enjoy the combat at all. Didn't feel as serious as it could have been, as gritty as it could have been. I saw a Western with Clint Eastwood, I mean, which really doesn't say anything, but it was a long while ago. I think I was on a plane, and I was going somewhere overseas. I think I was going to Sweden, maybe my first time, and I watched it, and it was pretty gritty, and it was way more serious than Tombstone, but the combat scenes in that one were also a little silly as well, which really dragged it down. I'd love to see a movie, a Western, that is like bloody and like super kind of like depressing and serious and really just not a fun watch. All these Westerns, I think, come across as like they're trying too hard to be a fun watch while also trying to tell a serious story, and it just comes across as, you know, parts of it just come across as just unenjoyable for me, and I really want to enjoy it. This has been Mathis's critique on Tombstone, the Western classic from 1993, to sit here so you can realize how bad of movie taste I have. But it did make me walk away saying I'd love to see the Western, a new Western movie done with a much more serious feel or more grit to it. I'd love to see what they can do with that nowadays. I don't need it to be like freaking Michael Bay explosions and blood. Like, hell, the action could be few and far between, and just maybe have like 1 or 2 like important, you know, deep action scenes between the two characters where there's a lot of emotion running between the two of them before they get into their shootout. But the shootouts come across as just silly in these older westerns. And I'd love to see that changed up a little bit. And I really want the shootouts to be serious and, you know, kind of sad and gritty. And maybe it's just me, but like you always know what's gonna happen to the hero in a western. One of two things is gonna happen. He's either going to die a hero, you know, taking out all the bad guys, and then he dies himself, or he's gonna live happily ever after. The end. There's no like he does the job, but he's also, you know, fucked up for life because maybe the bad guy was also his best friend who betrayed. I don't know, man. I'm spitballing here. I'm not writing the western. I realize that Tombstone and most of these westerns are at least based on true events to an extent. Motherfucker. I hear him. Okay, apparently I'm reloading here. Shit. Hang on. What? I freaking... I shot in front of him. Run. Get me in something here real quick. Alright, hang on. I was coming over here because there's something I wanted to check. Now I'm bleeding instead. Let me get inside real quick, and we'll continue our little movie conversation. Let me just get into here for a second. I should be fine.
Need some first aid.
Yeah. You'll be all right there, Skippy. I wish I could just click it from here. Like, why do I have to go in there and do it? Apply antiseptic. Okay, we'll just go ahead and bandage up.
Gotta stop that blood loss.
And then I think I just need to pop a couple pills. Okay, we're good. We're good. I don't know why I wanted to, like, talk about Tombstone. I guess it's like, after watching it, I just realized how much I either, like, feel like could be done with the Western genre and never really was done, or maybe I just haven't seen the right Western. Like, it has been a long time since I watched a Western with my dad, or he's put one on TV. And there was one that came out, I think, in the late 90s that was supposedly amazing. I never actually got to see. Maybe that does exactly everything that I've been saying I wish Westerns did. But Tombstone is one of those Westerns I'd always heard about. You know, it's considered a classic Western movie. Super, super good. And I watch it, I'm like, it's just your typical Western. Like, it tells a cool story. I'm not saying it doesn't. But it also doesn't really do anything new with the genre for a genre that, especially by that time, had been around for a while. The Western genre has not been, you know, MIA, or, you know, dead at that point. It was so many Western movies had existed at that point. So it's not like, you know, it's like, oh man, they had to go classic Western because Westerns were missing for so long. It's really not how not really the case, you know, that really wasn't the case at all. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not super complaining about it. I'm just airing some thoughts, that's all, about what I think of that particular genre. So I'm coming back here because people were saying that behind, I think it's behind these. We're gonna break this down here. There's like some good loot that I could grab. So we're gonna pop this real quick. Couple of rifle rounds and a backpack with some wood matches. That's about it. Well, I guess the rifle rounds are good because I have popped a few and missed some wolves in the past. It's not a bad thing for sure. The moon is rising. The night is coming. The night is dark and full of terrors. Cured leather. That's actually an amazing find. And a flare. Which means I can actually avoid having to deal with the wolves themselves. We're burning through a lot of matches here because I have no lantern fuel either. Regardless, I'm curious. I'm actually excited to see if there are people who've watched a lot of Western movies in my comment section. I know my audience on my channel is a little bit of the older variety. Between 18 and 30 primarily is the age group that my channel seems to attract, which is great. So maybe, you know, there will be people like me who have seen a lot of Westerns and have not necessarily the same opinion as I do. And they can tell me what I'm missing or why maybe those Westerns are the way they are. You know, a lot of me thinks that the Westerns are as cheesy as they are is because that's just how the genre started in the movies. And they never really broke away from that because it's a tried and true formula. Think about like Marvel MCU movies that I was saying earlier tend to stick to a safe formula. Maybe it's the same thing. Either way, we're going to stop the episode here. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know in the comment section below by hitting the like button. As always, your support means the world to me. And as always, I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye.